Whoops. Hey, boys and girls.
Go ahead,
Weather
sorry.
report for June 22nd, 2021. I want to give a shout out to all you mamas. Anyway.
All you mamas.
All you mamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask them. They'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
You want me to ask my mama or?
Yeah, all you mamas.
I'd have to pray for that.
I'm pretty old, and back in the 60s, there's a lot of mamas. Anyway,
Yep.
I was looking at Knock the Raging Atheist did a stream on critical race theory where he was like, "What is it?" and all that stuff. And it's one of the things that keep coming up in Emery Moyna's stream, and it seems like the Christians are talking about this critical race theory stuff, and I don't have a clue what it is, other than that it looks like it was sort of a intellectual bunch of papers that they did to look at the intersection of race and looking at race as being institutional rather than the result of individuals. Does that fucking surprise anybody? I don't know.
Does not. Anybody read that
I
book,
looked
White
at it.
Fragility?
But aren't institutions made of individuals?
Yeah, but individuals come and go, but institutions remain. And sometimes over time, the institutions wield power or deny access to different groups. So the institutional power is far more long-reaching than the individual.
And even if they are made up of individuals, if those individuals are all white for decades at a time, then you know.
Yeah,
can
heaven
solve that
forbid.
problem. But I looked into it, and it seemed perfectly reasonable to me.
What did they have their undies in a bunch about this one?
Well, I think it's white fragility in a new expression. People don't like to talk about how they're privileged in a society, and they may not feel privileged because they compare themselves to other white people. But in general, the system is made to keep as many people in the lower rungs and classes and economic situation to keep them dependent on the 1%. So
Yeah.
Well, they feel like they're being directly blamed for slavery, which is obviously not true. Like, you weren't alive back then, so that's just stupid.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so the Rage did a stream on that, and that might be worth looking at. I did not get a chance to review it. I think it just came out. So anyway, and what else? What else going on? Oh, Answers in Atheism. We're going to be reviewing a little bit of Sal Cordova, who I have renamed Doofus because he is the best creationist out there, according to Dapper Dino, Erica, and a bunch of other people who are apparently have invalid opinions. But anyway, an answer in atheism, okay? And Sal said a couple times in his video, there are no answers in atheism. And I think at one point he almost talked about my channel and he caught himself because the name looms large. Anyway, prayer, this whole thing about, we prayed for this and we prayed for that. And he's got a little clip in here that we're going to play where he famously, everybody in the church prayed for this woman who had been captured by the Taliban to be released. And then, of course, they rescued her, and their prayers came, were answered. And then prayers for, at one point he talks about praying for his father before his father died, and his father died anyway. And, there's a lot of people that we pray for, we see people pray for. Well, and then there's guys like me, so-called spiritual atheists, with quotes, air quotes around that, who pray almost daily. And there's a little bit of unpacking to do there. So when you pray, now, does anybody remember? No, nobody probably remembers all the way back to the 70s when self-hypnosis was just an absolute, big raging trend. They had a bunch of books on it. And they're talking about.
I remember.
Huh? You do?
I personally remember. Yeah, that's a.
Oh,
And
you are.
can I guess your stance on self-hypnosis?
Mine?
Yes, can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead. Take guess.
You think it's bunk?
Self-hypnosis absolutely works.
What was that?
It absolutely works, and that's what prayer is about.
Okay, well, that's not what I think when I thought you were gonna go, so I was wrong.
Right. But if you self-hypnotize yourself to expect that you're going to win the lottery, or that the person you love who has cancer is going to be cured, then you are looking for disillusion, right? Because you can't self-hypnotize yourself and have shit happen in the world. You can only have shit happen in your own mind. So the way I use prayer is to control my mind, and I use it along the lines of self-hypnosis. Like I will say a prayer of letting go of something. Like if I have a resentment or something really crappy happens to me and I'm upset about it, I'm upset about a personal interaction, I'll sit in my armchair and I will go through this letting go process about 3 or 4 times. And I've gotten so good at it that I do it about, I don't even know how many times I do it, maybe 1, 2, 3. But then the next day I wake up and I think, what happened to that shitty feeling I had? It just goes away. It goes away to the point where it doesn't knock on your brain's door anymore. And so you just let it go. Okay. And there's another kind of prayer, a prayer for acceptance of really shitty things that can happen to you in the world. Like if you have some disease or something's eating your foot or something like that. I mean, at some point,
mosquitoes.
Yeah, you're getting eaten by mosquitoes. Did you say eaten by mosquitoes? Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so oh my God, I'm gonna have to talk about the lamb. Just had lamb chops. Anyway, so praying for acceptance puts your mind in the mode, or praying for forgiveness of a person who has wronged you. It immediately puts your mind in the mode of letting that go, and as a result, you suffer less. And not only do you suffer less, but you do less stupid shit. Like if you have a resentment and you're able to just face it squarely and forgive that person for whatever they did to you, all of a sudden your mind will work in miraculous ways. You'll find reasons why, that may have been part of my fault. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Maybe that's why he punched me in the mouth, and all of a sudden you have a new perspective on things. So it's like a paradigm changing thing in your brain. And we are, above all, we are organisms. We are fucking biological organisms. Our brain's a bunch of goo with a bunch of sparks in it. Okay. There's no great fucking computer in there calculating things and working things out. I mean, it works like crap. It's a bunch of goo inside of a bone.
That is a very.
I'm gonna have to mute you. I know you're gonna push back on this, Midnight.
No, on certain parts I want to push back, not the whole thing.
Okay, but the thing to understand is that you have a psychology, and your well-being, your happiness, everything about you depends 99% on emotions and bodily functions and biology. It doesn't depend on your reasoning ability. Your reasoning ability is really fucking great when you have something to reason about. But when something happens to you that you cannot reason about, you cannot reason your way the hell out of this, the very best thing to do is to put your organism in a state of acceptance if you want to enjoy your life. So there's a fucking answer in atheism.
Well, I think our brains are like a fish brain wrapped in a reptile brain wrapped in a mammal brain.
Yeah. Well,
So it's like Lego or a babushka doll, whatever they're called.
Yep. The mammal brain part is really cool because, we could go on forever. But anyway, I was at Target recently and I bought some lamb chops, and my ex was telling me, I don't like to buy those because they're baby sheep. And I said, well, I'm an atheist, so I'm going to eat that baby.
That's veal. I don't think that's lamb chops.
That's what she thought. Anyway, I have no idea, but damn, they were good. This channel does not condone eating babies. Just want to point that out. Scott, you were supposed to say that. Damn it.
Oh, well, please remember this channel does not support the eating of babies, and I think venison is deer, isn't it?
Yep.
So what are we doing?
We're talking about meat.
That was my answer in atheism. So
I don't think that's really prayer, though. That seems more like a mental exercise than actually praying.
There's different types of prayer.
It's praying.
In the Christian traditions, there's different types of prayer, meditative prayers and such. So
the fact that you don't want, we don't want to label it, so we need to take the fucking word back. Basically, when you negotiate with your own brain, what you're doing is praying. I mean, what else could it
just use meditation?
Because it is a meditation. Meditation is a whole more complicated thing that's a little harder to do. Why the fuck not use prayer?
Speed, do you know how to transcend?
Do I know how to transcend?
Yes.
Transcend what?
Transcendental meditation.
Oh, fuck that shit. Anyway, so the reason to understand prayer is to understand what is going on with our Christian friends. When they pray and they talk about their personal connection to the Lord, what they are doing is they're manipulating their own psychology, and they are getting results, and they get results. And you can't deny that they get some results that are good, right? And it's good for us to understand the psychology of that. And now there's a man, Andrew Newberg, who is actually putting people in CAT scans and having them pray and meditate and do a number of other things. And he's finding vast changes in the workings of the brain as a result of these practices. So you can manipulate your own brain by using incantations and talking or saying words or doing bodily motions or whatever, and you can make a change in your brain that lasts for hours and hours. And we know this, right? We know that we can think thoughts, or we can work out a problem, or we can use our brains to do things, right? So like we have this power to do that. Well, prayer is just another one of those things. And if we just deny prayer entirely, we're never going to say the word prayer because we're atheists, and it's like we're going to just totally shut everybody down that talks about prayer, we're going to fail to understand a whole huge fucking pile of human psychology. And
what about the part, Speed, sorry to interrupt you, but also the part like when somebody suffers some sort of a traumatic, like an injury or something stressful or like threatening or something like that, your brain will actually block that out on its own too, like some of those memories and things like that too, right? So that's kind of along the lines of what you're talking about too, right?
And that is psychology too,
so I mean your brain will actually does it naturally on its own too, right?
Yeah, I recently went through a very traumatic experience, and I could tell you, your body and your mind do some unbelievable shit when something really, really bad happens. For the first 2 or 3 weeks, your body actually can stop working. Like you lose your balance, you can't walk, the world just seems like really, I mean, just some massive effects. So I mean, all of this shit is, all part of the fact that we are a big pile of goo, walking around on this little speck of dust. And we have to accept that. And we can't just like, okay, there's a whole kind of atheism that happened back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, where they suddenly abandoned all ideas of anything psychological or emotional, and we were just going to reason our way into, the future, right? So we were like, reason became exalted above all this other bullshit, right? And we kind of missed the fucking point. Because we are biological entities and we're subject to it.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like my brain is, I don't want to say too smart to be fooled, but like I can't trick myself into not being pissed off about something.
Yeah, well, that takes practice, and that's why prayer is practice. But the nice thing about it is, like they used to find a shiny stone or like, an amethyst or an emerald or something, and they would, put it around their neck and they would touch it. And that would be their talisman, to basically take your mind out of this reasoning mode and put your mind into this more open mode. And they would get answers to their problems. They would end up with a paradigm shift. In fact, if you're having trouble reasoning about a problem, try that. Pick a talisman. Try prayer, and it fucking works because it will change the way your mind works. And you could call it magic, you can call it a prayer, you can call it meditation. It doesn't matter what the fuck you call it, but you can actually manipulate your mind out of certain zones. Like for instance,
they have these smooth rocks. They've been polished and everything, and they've got a little ridge shape in them for you to like rub your thumb up and down.
There you go.
That feeling is always just real calming for me, anyway.
Yeah,
almost like having Catholic practitioners with their rosaries.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can just kind of sit, relax, focus on the smooth feeling that you're getting from your thumbs, and it really helps.
That's a big thing they're using in schools now, right? Schools are using what do they call those? Those like stress
fidget toy.
They're allowing kids to use those things that have ADHD and stuff like that. They're allowing all that stuff in school now because it really does help kids, focus and concentrate if they have a fidget toy or one of those sponge balls or whatever they call what do they call those things that stress balls that you squeeze and different types of things. There's all kinds of things out there that they use.
I mean, this stuff is through every culture, and it's our history is filthy with it. And I don't understand why anybody could believe in spiritual, supernatural bullshit when it is so obvious that this is the way our biology works. This is just us being organisms. We can never forget that. And so much of it becomes obvious as to why people believe and what they get out of religion, or what you get out of, like, okay, I was going to extend the talisman thing. Like, okay, you got the stone that you believe in, and you believe in the stone and you clutch it. But what if you believed in a great big man in the sky, and like he was like your daddy, and you could just put your entire life into belief in this man in the sky? I mean, that would give you a pivot point to make changes in your brain. And it does. And I think that is the lure of religion. And when these people talk about their born again experiences or coming to Jesus or whatever in the hell they came to, God, did I just use a sexual reference? Anyway, any of that stuff, it's really powerful. It's powerful psychology. It's magical voodoo on our brains, and we're never going to be able to study it right if we don't all just chill and start understanding that it does exist. There are these paradigm shifts in human brains. Spiritual experiences exist. These ayahuasca drug experience, DMT drug experience, they're very real. Something real is going on in the brain. And it's not all, negative bullshit. I mean, there's real positive things that can come as a result of it. So I'd like to see more research.
We have Cafe in the audience, and he took offense to your Sky Daddy. He gets
Well,
all
that's
upset when
exactly
you
what
use
the
it.
fuck they believe in. Cafe
I
keeps thinking.
I
I mean,
know.
it is what they believe in.
It is. I know. He gets pissed. And, oh, that's not how you interpret God. And yeah, he hates it. He hates
Yeah,
that.
you go around and talk to all the Christians in this country and find out how many of them think of him as the great daddy. Go over to Praise's channel and listen for 8 hours, as I have, and torture yourself with that. And listen to them talk about, he's a loving God, but he's a stern and a just God, and he will judge you and all this bullshit. And it's just like it's a big daddy in the sky is what they've imagined, you know?
Well,
It's
he's not just in the sky; he's everywhere all at once, which means he's inside of our rectums.
Yeah, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate Jesus up the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met this girl back in the 60s.
Cafe gets upset when you refer to it because that's not how he interprets God, but most people do.
Covfefe?
And, you know, hey, if he interprets it different, then that's fine. But
oh, AJ, that was great. Covfefe.
Yeah,
thank you for that one. I will never be able to see him any differently than Covfefe.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with Covfefe for 4 years now. Is that how long it was when we had our little Google exchange? Like we exchanged about I think over 1,000 posts or something back and forth, fighting about this Sky Daddy thing. We go way back before the YouTube creationist thing. So
he came in for an interview. You did an interview with him one time, didn't you? I
did,
remember a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked. He's a really decent guy.
Yeah.
He just got a little bit of a thing for exactly what God is. I mean, he talks about God in the same way a secular Buddhist would talk about God, but he'll never admit that it's secular. Which is the one step you have to make.
He loves Darth Dawkins' interpretation of what God actually is, I guess.
Does he?
You know, yeah, I think so. He kind of like he always talks about that, and he always talks about that Darth seems to understand what God really is. And I think it's very similar to how he understands it. So yeah, I think they have something in common but apparently I don't understand it because nobody seems to understand it, I guess, according to Darth and according to Cafe. Right? Nobody seems to understand it like they do. So
I just posted Women in Buddhism on Wild Eden at let's see. So Wild Eden did that virtual Buddhist temple tour, right? Just recently too. But that would be worth checking out.
Yes, it was pretty good. There were some audio difficulties, but overall, you know, it was good to get get kind of a lesson on patience from a Buddhist point of view.
What is that channel about?
Wild Eden. She does art, like some really interesting art, and just recently got into the first live hangout, and now getting into some Buddhist topics and some other topics. So it's kind of changing the direction of the channel a little bit. So I just noticed Icarus in the chat, and somebody had blocked Icarus on this channel, I think, unless it was a sock puppet for Icarus. And I unblocked it. I'm not sure what it was, but I just went over my blocked users, and I just want to say, Danny, fuck you. I have 90 blocked users, and 87 of them are you. And now, in order to find out if somebody's blocked that isn't supposed to be blocked, I have to look through every Danny Sock account.
Were you exaggerating, or is it actually 87?
No, it's 53.
Yeah.
I was exaggerating a little bit, but not a hell of a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I have 56 blocked users, and 53 of them are Danny.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. You know, when somebody asks you to leave a channel, just do the right thing. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, Dr. Dan said that he wanted to talk to Danny, but then he saw that Danny kept calling people retards.
no, yeah,
So that's a missed opportunity.
Danny's got a lot of things he likes to call people idiots. What are his favorites? He's not as bad as some people, but anyway. So on this other weird channel where some religious nut it goes on and on in this raspy voice about people. There was some talk about on this channel how we had blocked Ella Cox, I think it was, and I don't know if I blocked him. Who blocked him? That Alec, and he suggested that John Peterson was the one that was blocking people. John has never blocked anybody on this channel. Ever.
Yeah. Let's see. Is he the one that comes in and says that, you know, being around atheists smells like burning sulfur, that kind of shit?
He might have been the one, but yeah.
I think you might be referring to a different. I think there's two different people. There's just a plain Alex, which I think he got blocked because he's a Smokey, fan, and his is just Alex. And then I think he also has a sock account. It could be like Alex D or Alex H or something like that. But it's ALEX.
Yeah.
I think, right? And then he might have one or two sock accounts that are that, Alex H or whatever it is. So he's the one, I believe, that you're talking about. The Alex Cox guy, which is ALECCOX, right? That guy, I think, right? Yeah, that's how we spell it. That guy's different. I don't even think he's ever come here. That's the guy that supposedly has the PhD. The Alex Cox guy is the guy that got kicked out of Dinosaur Land.
Yeah, that AJ did the video on.
Yeah, you're talking about two different people there, I think. You're kind of getting those people mixed up. So, just to kind of let you know.
Well, God, can you see why? But I think actually, I thought I saw Ella Cox banned in my chats when I'll look again.
That could be. He may have come here and said something bad, and somebody did it. But
if it was the burning sulfur guy, it might have been me. I don't know. But he'll say things like, every time I think about atheists, my head starts spinning and I've got to puke. Just inflammatory shit.
I remember that guy.
That's just the plain Alex guy, I'm pretty sure. The Alex Cox guy, he doesn't tend to come in and say nasty shit. I mean, he tends to stick with, Christian channels, and, he'll say stuff on those channels, but I don't recall him even coming here. He may have, but, but the other guy, just the plain Alex guy, he's come in here many times and has said some pretty shitty stuff. So
Andrew Cummings said he's the same guy who cited himself for something he said to me when I asked him for a citation.
Sounds like raw Matt.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So okay, so there's that, and then we got a whole
new video.
You have a what?
A new video.
I posted it in the description.
Yeah, it's during the Dr. Dan and Kent Hovind debate. Dr. Dan was talking about Walt Brown and how he came up with the heat problem during the ark, during the flood. And then Kent Hovind was trying to distance himself from Walt Brown, saying he doesn't care what Walt Brown thinks and that he's never met Walt Brown. But I show clips that show that that's a total lie.
He's pulling a Trump.
Yep.
Yep. It's pretty funny.
This whole thing about a lot of Christians will say, I used to be an atheist, or, back when my religion was, I was questioning religion and I almost left the faith, or I left the faith and then I came back and all that stuff.
When somebody says I used to be an atheist, I tend to not believe them.
I know, I'm kind of like getting there too, because the more you listen to him, and this guy, Sal Cordova, he talks about how he was questioning his faith. And he said in one of these clips on this video, he says, "Yeah, I was at a Bible study and I was questioning my faith." It's like, if you were at a Bible study,
did you hear? Sorry to interrupt. Did you hear what he said though? I think you're talking about the same one I'm going to refer to now. He said it lasted 3 days. He lost.
Yeah. Okay. So you were an atheist for
that's what he
3
said.
days,
Yeah.
right?
He actually said that 3 days. Yeah, that doesn't qualify you as an atheist, Sal. I'm sorry. 3 days just doesn't cut it.
No, that's not a whole lot of atheist experience.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that was funny when he said that. That was pretty funny.
yeah. So we're queued up at 3. Your first clip was at 3:32.
3:33. Let me look at mine. I thought it was 3:33, but hold on.
Well, 3:32:53. Okay.
Yeah. That's fine. Go ahead and speed it up. Yep, speed it up too.
Oh, it's way sped up too fast. We gotta. What are we gonna speed it up to? 1.25 or?
I do 1.5 myself. Try that and see, because he talks slow.
Okay, so I gotta unmute and I gotta see if everything's gonna. Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, this is great to hear that you guys are thinking critically, and so wouldn't it be great that there's a fast mechanism? So a lot of the mechanisms any of them will have to account for that. So I think Dennis's model, Jason Lyle's model, account for that. Russell Humphrey's model, I think, is a little problematic for that. Same with Barry Setterfield, and I knew Barry Setterfield's personally. Bill Lucas, that caused that shouting match at ICC 2008. I don't know how. I couldn't get a straight answer out of him. So there are a few young Earth cosmologies that are in the running based on my understanding of Scripture. The problem is we need to have more experiments and observations to help us construct this model, and it is not easy. Like I said, ID is easy, YEC is hard. And
do you believe this? That we had this sped up 1.5 times?
It does seem a little sped up, but it's very easy to comprehend.
Yeah.
Did you say ID is easy and YEC is hard?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it is hard.
I don't know how you figure that.
They have to put 700,000 years into every geological year, and then most of the geological formations they have to take billions of years and have it all happen in 1 year. So yeah, it's hard. They got a hard problem. At least he admits it, but let's see where he goes with it.
I've agonized over this many hours. I mean, Dave Farina was just a piece of cake by comparison. This is a tough problem, and I'd like to resume work on it sometime. I might do a little work on it this year, but really, biology, God's just handing us the victory on a silver platter. This is easy.
My God!
And praise God for that. This is our weapon against
praise God.
The theistic evolution movement and the Swami Dasari going on is the biology. But I feel that after this battle is won.
Did he say Swamadasari?
Swamadasari, that's what I heard.
Fuck, we're gonna have to start using that from now on. Okay.
We can move into geology and into physics, and this is gonna be fun. So there are 11 times in the Bible where it refers to God stretching the heavens. This means that the constant we assume our steady state may not be steady state. Thank you. The problem that makes physical cause for accelerated nuclear decay in specific cases much more appealing than universal acceleration of nuclear decay. Amen. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So you are basically saying Farina is a light.
Wait a minute.
Than universal acceleration of nuclear decay. Amen. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So you are basically saying Farina is a lightweight. I'd say middleweight. Evolutionary biologists are lightweights. I know that. Look, Dr. Dan, bright guy, I totally respect you, but that theory is just pathetic. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So you are basically saying Farina is a lightweight. I'd say middleweight. Evolutionary biologists are lightweights. I know that. Look, Dr. Dan, bright guy, I totally respect you, but that theory is just pathetic. You want to compare real science, and this is from Maxwell's equations, with evolutionary theory. I'll take that comparison any day. And it does pain. It's really funny. I feel delighted we're just smashing Swami Das. I actually feel regret that Dr. Dan's on the other side because I like the guy. But yes, Dave Farina is a lightweight. That was so comical. He has a bachelor's in arts, not a bachelor's in science and chemistry. And I heard some other, that's respectable. But he's not a James Tour, who he keeps calling is clueless. James Tour testified before the United States Congress on chemistry. You don't get to do that unless you're a top chemist. James Tour worked for a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, and it's James Tour who got Hugh Ross to talk to his boss, Richard Smalley, the Nobel Prize winner. Richard Smalley became a Christian as a result. I shouldn't laugh.
Did you do it again?
No offense. I like you, but I think Godzilla freak Christian as a result.
Did he do it again?
Laugh. Dr. Dan, please. No offense. I like you, but I think Godzilla freak is right. And it was in my debate with Dr. Dan. I said, do you think the genome's improving or deteriorating? I don't think I got a straight answer from him. Okay. But it's like what they say, don't talk about politics and religion if you want to keep your friends. And it's like, yeah, Dr. Dan, do we have to actually talk about these things? Because
let's hold on a second here. Farina, who taught in school and undergraduate classrooms for 10 years before turning into a YouTuber, received a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Minnesota's Carleton College, which is a accredited big college in Minnesota next to the U of M, and a master's in chemistry and science education at California State University. So what the fuck is he talking about here?
Yep. I just missed like three or 4 minutes. I just had to take a quick phone call, so I missed part of what you just played. Where are we at? Did you see any of the good parts? Did he say about this was the part where he talked
a lot of giggling. A lot of giggling.
Yeah, I bookmarked. Oh my God, he did it twice. Okay, so 33. Well, he's been online for 3.5 hours. We gotta give him a break, but I'm an asshole.
Yeah,
I bookmarked those things. Let's see. So 337, you had a bookmark, or was that me? I think that was me. So
that was you.
What was your next bookmark? 359.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, I had between 333 and 335. What did you just play?
Between 333 and 338.
Yeah, okay. So you played that part. All right. And then I had another one at like 400 30
you
seconds.
got 3. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so 4 to 406. So we'll go ahead and roll that.
Yeah.
So first, okay, we can summarize the modern view of the universe in 2 brief statements. First, the universe has been expanding ever since it was formed, and in the process, it has evolved from simple to complex structures. Second, the visible matter in the universe is organized hierarchically. The stars grouped into galaxies, galaxies into clusters, and clusters into superclusters. The problem we face then is to understand how a universe whose evolution is dominated by the first statement could become one whose structure is described by the second.
Okay. So I just watched a video on the formation of the universe, and that's called gravity.
Yeah. Well, he went through, this is his cosmology part, and he talked about a lengthy, he went on for quite a while about starlight, and how that's one of the things that creationism has to solve. That's a problem that they have to solve obviously to get in line with their young Earth and young universe. All of that has to tie together. So this is part of that. And he went on and on about that. And he seems to think that once he wins the battle on, evolution, they're going to go there next. He's going to go to geology, and then he's going to go to physics. And like I said, he goes on, and he swears he's going to rewrite science.
Yeah, he already won the battle on evolution. He already got his Nobel Prize for that.
Right.
So now he's moving on. Yeah, because James Tour took down Professor Dave. Anyway, so what he was saying is that, okay, if the universe has been expanding ever since it was created, and the universe formed these threads, these clusters that contain galaxies, that contain stars, he's suggesting that couldn't happen. Well, they ran simulations starting with a universe with very slight differences in the density of the material, and lo and behold, they formed clusters and threads of galaxies just exactly like we're seeing. So
right,
they have some simulations that do this, and it's called fucking gravity. That's what causes these structures to form.
Yep.
Anyway, so we'll go on.
There is a proof by contradiction here. If you have expanding space, you shouldn't have galaxies. That is the problem. And this is why I held, like I said, I was wrestling with my faith. I was really upset with Ken Ham. I said, please, this whole thing about telling me I'm a compromiser and all, that's just not doing it for me. I went to this class. I read these books. I said, this is what I was looking for. I can believe in a young cosmos. Books. Because of stuff like this.
Right
secular literature, but a lot of...
See, that's what I was talking about earlier. This is what I was looking for. You see what I mean? Like, that's bad.
He was looking
science.
For it. Yeah.
Right. He's looking. This is, throughout this whole video, he's bitching and moaning about people doing bad science. And that's exactly what you're doing, Sal. You're doing bad science. I was looking for this, searching through the literature so I can prove, my Bible, or prove that the earth is young and the universe is young. That's not science, Sal. You're supposed to, let the evidence bring it, where it's supposed to go, not have it already your mind made up. And throughout this whole video, that's what he does.
You're supposed to let the data drive you to your conclusion, not start with your conclusion and then look for data that supports it. That's confirmation bias.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's a better way to say it. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing was that he was really stressed out when he was looking to believe. He was having this crisis of faith, and when you're searching and then you start reading some books and lo and behold, you find exactly what you were looking for. Well, go figure. I mean,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, it shows a major misunderstanding of general relativity to say that point about expanding universe couldn't have galaxies. I mean, that's completely unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
And only if the cosmological constant is much, much larger than it is right now would that be the case. But of course, if he's going to go down the fine tuning, then I'm just going to have to invoke Orthangelo.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want me to do a Orthangelo impression. So I'm just saying. Saying.
I asked Orthangelo, if the universe is fine-tuned, why is the expansion rate increasing?
And Sal has physics background, right? He has some courses or whatever. Some part of his education is in physics too, which is
you'd think he knows the mistake he's making, which is at the beginning of the early universe. Then the cosmological constant is going to be relatively small compared to other forces. So
I think he had a major in electrical engineering and a minor in physics. And
I think it's
right. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
I think it was applied physics. He said he had something in.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Well, that's electrical
engineering.
It's
experimental physics. Experimental physics.
Okay.
As they may call it. Anyway.
Okay, so we're looking from. Okay, got a few more.
A lot of people don't know it. Dr. Treffel says, the problem of the existence of galaxies is proved to be one of the thorniest in cosmology. By all rights, they shouldn't be there, yet there they sit. It's hard to convey the depth of frustration that this simple fact induces among scientists. So where is this leading? It's telling me anyway, God had to make this by an act of special creation, miracles made life. Dr. Treffel has identified the way the universe is laid out. It screams special creation via a miracle, an instantaneous miracle of special creation. Now, when I studied astrophysics, I was like, I think the secular world has a good explanation for the origin of stars. And then I read this, it's like, well, that's only part of the story. And then there are other problems.
What did he read exactly that told him this?
There's a hierarchy of, stars and galaxies, blah, blah, blah. And The universe has been expanding since the beginning of the of time.
Yeah,
That was it.
but there you go. Miracles explain everything. Did you hear him?
Shit,
It screams that miracles, right?
So how did the cosmologists miss this?
I don't know.
Well, you know, we've seen this before with Sal and his friend reading papers. They read into it what they want, and that is Sal. I like how you have him at his thoughtful
Looking
gaze
up
to the sky. Yeah. Our pondering friend here is just reading into the physics what he wants. So,
yeah. Well, you know, one of the reasons why I really like Sal Cordova is he digs in. He's giving us a really clear glimpse of what a lot of these creationist scientists, how they think and what their thought process is. So I think it's worth looking at this dude, you know, and I definitely have a bee in my bonnet about Sal. But you guys remember when I had a bee in my bonnet about, what was his name? LPP or something like that. I can't remember who he was exactly, but you know, I mean, I have fad, you know, I have little hobbies I get into. The Sal is my hobby now. So anyway, just want to explain myself.
Even as I just think of this, like God made the stars just like it says in the Bible, and by a special act of creation, He made it in a way that tells us that only God made this. The universe did not create itself. The universe did not create itself.
God damn, that's deep.
And it just kind of lifts my heart just to know that, to be reassured.
But it lifts my heart too.
And a lot of people, you know, you hear in the popular science press, they keep pretending like we figured it out in a way that the universe can make itself.
No, they don't. That's not true. They don't keep pretending. They don't keep pretending we've figured it out. They keep hypothesizing because new data comes in or a possible new interpretation comes in.
Yeah, but every time they hear some new discovery or new data, they think they hear them saying, "Oh, we figured it out."
It's just bullshit, though.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like they're a little bit threatened, maybe by you know.
The contrast is really interesting because like I get this weekly YouTube news thing about astrophysics and astronomy, and every week the lady just goes, well, this new paper, blah blah blah, and it calls into question this, blah blah blah. It's going to be exciting to find out how it resolves, you know. And it's just every week, and you find that anywhere you have an actual science channel, they're always talking about all the things that don't add up, or that seem strange, that may call for a new explanation, or a new kind of physics, or a new kind of cosmology.
Did you hear him?
Yeah,
Did you hear him
the most exciting thing for a physicist is when something doesn't happen like it normally should.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you hear him?
Like, oh shit.
Did you hear him refer to his heart? You know,
yeah. My heart soars.
Yeah, you don't do science with your heart, Sal. I'm sorry to say. That's referring to, you know, that's referring to emotions. You don't really do science with emotions.
Well,
you kind of do it with, you know, I don't know.
To be fair, when I read about Planctomycetes this morning, my heart soared. Yeah. My heart soared. It was like, oh my God, Darwin created this. It was like, yeah.
You're willing to dig. And as C.S. Lewis said, you can't be a sound atheist and read too carefully. As you read too carefully, you begin to see the fingerprints of God. And so maybe that is a beautiful title, The Fingerprint of God.
I think I own that.
The title that Hugh Ross used. And so that's Dr. Treffel in my life. You know, and you don't hear me talk a lot about cosmology here, so this is why it's kind of fun. Partly because it really is a difficult topic. That's where I would start. So I want to, you know, for those who are tied up, you know, who are really wrestling with young Earth creation, I could say there's one part of it that works really well, is that the stars and galaxies, the clusters, the superclusters, the filaments, where the galaxies are organized in filaments, that's very well explained by an act of special creation. Now, there may be mechanisms that God used. Okay.
Like I say, I just saw them run a simulation, and that's exactly what it formed, is these filaments of galaxies.
Yeah.
Their simulation. For Christ's sake, Sal. Have you never seen these things?
Yeah.
It's like...
That's like explain the least.
Who is Hugh Ross? Astrophysicist. Okay.
Hugh Ross. Yeah, he
He's
has
been around
some.
quite a while.
He has
He's out.
some strange ideas.
Yeah, he's out
Yeah,
there.
I read some of his stuff in the '90s, and he was referred to a lot whenever I was going through the old, from young Earth creationism to looking for something more reasonable. He was part of that dialogue, but so he's been around for at least since the '90s.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you never checked into him, Speed? No.
I think I think I own his book, and I think I have checked in the past, but
You should
he
see his
doesn't.
debate with Kent Hovind.
Yeah, he used to hang around with a guy called Dr. Fuzz Rana, who had even worse ideas about evolution than Sal does.
Yeah, he debated Ken Ham, Kent Hovind, Dwayne Gitch, Danny Faulkner, Andrew McIntosh, John Morris, Ray Comfort. That must have been a fun thing to see. Ray Comfort is a real right box of rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Poor guy wasting your brain cells on dealing with somebody like Ray Comfort. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah. So I think we have 2 minutes left to endure, and then I got one other clip I want to play, which I thought was kind of astounding.
To build this. So this has been a glorious, the reason I could talk about this for 4 hours, I basically shared my journey from there flunking out at Virginia Tech because I had a reading disability, a learning disability, and then studying music and then engineering. Now it's led me all the way to young Earth creationism. And there are people that don't need to learn about the science, put their faith and trust in Jesus. Jesus will work in their heart in another way that will lead them to him, but the way that he led me to him, beyond just when I first accepted Christ as a teenager, but led me to him to build a closer relationship, is he's revealed himself. I look at
accepted Christ as a teenager. There you
go. My textbooks here, and again, most of these books are mom's novels, but maybe one shelf, one of those shelves.
Mum's really novels. That also says a lot. Oh my God, this guy.
The most important.
I mean, this guy basically is a walking experiment for Freud.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, so is there more up to 406? You said, David.
Hold on, let me look at my time.
Are there any more goodies? You said up to 406.
I had, and then there was one right at 4. From 407 to 410, there might have been something in there I had timestamped. Where are you at now?
I'm at 405:32.
Yeah, if you want to, unless you want to stop there, is fine. Or you can jump to 407 and watch, a minute or two of that, because I had that timestamp too. So
407. Okay.
Yeah, especially on God's sight. That's one. The second thing that he saw, and he needed to he and others concocted this idea of dark matter, which is refuted now. But he could see that the Big Bang was incompatible with the formation of stars.
Dark matter is refuted, apparently.
Superclusters and filaments of galaxies.
Obviously, he's never looked into the bullet cluster.
With what we observed, the galaxies shouldn't be up there. Yet there they sit. It's one of the thorniest problems. So you actually read the literature. You're hanging around other scientists that actually study this. You get a different story. And I was like, God made this. Act of special creation. Act of special creation.
Yeah.
So that's James Treffel. I already just shared enough about Hugh Ross. And now, next to the last thing is this book. Another physicist. This is John D. Barrow and Frank Tipler.
The Anthropic
Cosmological... Oh, Frank Tipler. He's bringing them all out today.
Yep.
Which one is this?
I don't know. Bob Francis and Tipler. I know. I've heard of Tipler's name many times, along with another one of his favorites, Paul Davis.
Okay.
And they're basically heavily biased towards the result, obviously.
Cosmological principle. And let me see if I think it's page 471.
Danikins.
So the last thing is this book.
So he just kind of casually said dark matter is refuted.
That's what he said. Yeah, dark matter is apparently now refuted.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, Frank Tipler and John D. Barrow. Okay. I was trying to get the authors.
Okay.
Frank Tipler.
And I agree, raw nakedness. Tipler is a bit of a psycho.
How many of these Tiplers are there?
Yeah.
There's quite a few because there's a large amount of money to. I mean, if you think about it, how many Christians there are on the planet that are desperately searching to be right, or desperately searching to find mummy's love? Oh, sorry, that slipped out.
Whoops.
Desperately searching to find some rational justification for their position of superstitionism, if that's such a word. Yeah, I mean, it's not really surprising that the temptation to go and write a book, if you can't get it published in your own field and respected by people in your own field, then what's the next best thing? Well, you make money by publishing a book in the Christian field. Same thing with music.
Sal is writing a book called Answers for Doubting Thomases or something like that. That's the name of that's his tentative title for his book that he just started working on, or he's been working on, and he started again. He mentions it in this video, so we'll have to look for that one.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because of course Jesus said something about doubting Thomases not being quite as blessed as those that accept this bullshit on faith, or without evidence, I should say.
Yeah, and I hope you guys buy my book when it comes out. I used to be a trash monkey.
Evidence
used to be a trash clown.
Evidence is for trash clowns. Yeah, no, I've done another one in that series as it goes. It's called Cars for Trash Clowns. Trash Clowns.
We had to get together and publish the whole
series
package set, right, for $99.
Nice.
Yeah, fucking A.
Yeah, secondhand cars for Trash Clowns. Trash Clowns. I can't say that for some reason.
Trash Clowns.
Yes.
Okay.
John D. Barrow and Frank.
Okay. So let us know when we should stop, David.
Tipler, Anthropic Cosmological Principle. And let me see if I think it's page 471. See if I get this right. People ask for a proof of God.
Proof.
Here it is.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
It is.
Hold on to your socks. Oh,
It's page
there it is.
71.
That equation there.
Oh,
You take
missed
quantum
that.
mechanics, the accepted laws of quantum mechanics. You can formulate the universal wave function. It implies an ultimate observer. The ultimate observer would be again, from their interpretation from this book, which is actually very respected. It was a peer-reviewed book, not just a peer-reviewed article, a peer-reviewed book. Oxford University Press, 1987.
Oh my God.
Okay, just because it's from Oxford University doesn't mean it's peer reviewed. That's number one. And number two, just making the fallacy, right, that if there's a wave function, there must be a conscious observer. That's also a fallacy. That's a very old fallacy. And I'm a little bit perturbed that people like this keep dragging it out, because there's nothing about quantum mechanics which shows necessarily that the collapse of a wave function is necessarily done by an observer. In fact, there is good evidence to show it is not required.
Yeah. So was that it, David?
Yeah. Where are you at? What's your time now?
409:13.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Doubting Thomas. So let's see.
I haven't gotten. While Mom was in the hospital before, and that was only days before she passed, I did start writing work on my book, Cures for Doubting Thomas, and I'm going to I need to get that book finished.
Okay, that was it. Jimmy Carter is stupid. Okay, I had that as a link. Lord, now, okay, hang on a second.
Just like, Lord, things could melt down real fast, and I've been like, oh Lord, when I was younger, I just thought all this stuff is really cool, and now it's really scary.
Okay, he was like, I really started to like him when he was 16 or a teenager. He apparently blew himself up trying to make a rocket and had to go to the hospital. And him and I would have gotten along really well as teens. So
yeah, he talks about that. Yeah,
but he had a good mind. He's got a really great mind. But there's the whole Christianity thing just ripped it apart.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, now some guy that this poking horn said this.
2 sentences out of the entire book. He said the ultimate atheism puts human wishes above reality. He was saying, the religious faith can be comfort in time of death, but unless it's true, it doesn't count for anything. He said the ultimate atheism is putting human wishes above reality. I'm like, okay, I appreciate. I mean, that's how Hawkinghorn writes. It's like, what's your point? What's your point? And what I think his point was is that his approach to Christianity is this isn't just some story that I give people to make them feel better. It's not a story I accept just to make me feel better. It has to be grounded in truth.
Yeah, that's just bullshit.
So, what do you make of that statement that the ultimate atheism is putting human wishes above reality? How in the hell?
You're making atheism into a religion.
Well, wait a minute.
It's projection.
Okay, aren't they criticizing atheists for looking at reality as just, the stars moving about and dust and we don't have any control over anything and, our lives have no meaning? Isn't that their narrative? Now, this guy is saying kind of the opposite of that, putting human wishes above reality. Doesn't that sound like Christianity?
Yeah, it does. It's exactly what's been coming out of Sal's mouth this whole time. He's just wishing for proof of a young Earth and seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, so where's the disconnect here between our two camps? Where like he could make a statement like that and try to support it, and I think what he's getting at is something that I do value in religion, and that is acceptance of what happens in your life, and that you don't have a whole lot of control over too much.
Right.
You can control a little, but you're not going to control, when people die and when bad things happen or when you get ill or whatever. And so part of that whole thing with praying, for acceptance of God's plan is what they call it, is basically giving yourself over to this Buddhist idea of accepting the way life unwinds and just not bitching about it all the time. Don't try to, you're not going to fucking change a lot of it. Okay. Yeah. You can only change what you are empowered to change, right? You can change things about yourself. You can't change what the other guy thinks about you. Midnight.
Well,
Where's midnight?
Yeah, praying is the exact opposite of what he just said. I mean, praying is putting human wishes above reality.
It is depending on what you pray for or how you pray. And I was talking about it earlier.
Sure.
So
yeah,
I mean, if you pray for your friend to survive his cancer, well then, fuck you. That's not within your warrant. You are not warranted to control your friend's cancer.
Sure, but you wish it, right?
Well,
that's exactly what I'm saying. These things you pray for, they're human wishes. Whether they're granted or not is another question entirely. But just based on his statement, that is the definition of praying, almost. I mean, sure, you can pray for things which are just trivial, right? Oh, I pray that I did something last week. Well, you've already done it, so therefore you're right. Just the same way you can define God as the universe, and you're right. Right? Well, it doesn't help anything, but
I mean, if your friend has cancer, there's some sitting down and doing a meditative prayer for your friend. But what I pray for, if I have a friend who has cancer, is I pray that that everybody accepts what's happening, and that we do it gracefully. Accept it gracefully, whatever happens. And I also pray that he makes it on time for his fucking radiation treatment.
I just want to make this distinction here that there's a difference. There's no difference between praying and wishing. An atheist wish for things to be the way they want them to be, and not necessarily the way they are. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. All right.
Totally
the difference here is that we don't think that there's some external consciousness which could change reality to fit our wishes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference. Okay. So when you say, atheists wish for reality to be different, of course we do. Everybody does. Right. We wish to have longer lives. We wish to make the train. We wish to do all of these things. Right. That may or may not happen depending on how reality actually is. We don't go around going, well, this guy didn't survive his cancer because God didn't want him to.
I wish this fucking cat would go outside instead of sitting on my mouse pad.
Right. Okay. So that's my point there, right? And the point being here is that just because you change the word to wish, all right, that doesn't mean that it's any more derisable than praying. If anything, praying is even worse, right? if you want to change it back to praying because you think that reality may change based upon your wishes if God aligns with that wish.
Were you around when I was talking about prayer earlier?
I wasn't, no.
Okay, well, go listen to that sometime. We could probably argue about a few things about that. I want to take the word back for the secular, and take the practice back, basically.
Semantic arguments don't do me much good, but yeah.
It's not a semantic fucking argument.
Okay, mate.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, listen to this part. Now, this is kind of long, but I'd kind of like to listen through the part where the planes crash into the towers.
My time of doubt, and I confess before my brothers and sisters to pray for me. Well, one girl in the Bible study.
Okay, now this is his time. I'm sorry, I stopped it. His time of doubt, he was in a Bible study. He went to a Bible study during his time of doubt. And I'm wondering, how much doubt do you have if you go to a Bible study looking for the answer? It's just a question we might ponder.
After the Bible study was over and we were out in the cafeteria just hanging out at George Mason University, she said, "Why don't you just believe?" And I wanted to be polite. I really wanted to say something snide. I said, "Why don't in my mind I was thinking, girl, what's up with you? Why don't you just believe you have $1 billion? Does that make it true?" But I didn't say that. I just said, "Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. I appreciate your thoughts." I was thinking, yeah, this is the problem with Christianity. There are a lot of people like that sitting in the pews. Just believe because it makes you feel good. And I said this. I was like, God bless you, Jennifer, but that just doesn't work for me. And this is also at the time we had missionary friends, Heather Mercer, who got captured by the Taliban, and we were getting emails, "Please pray for Heather Mercer." And I was thinking, Lord, why she do something so stupid that she gets herself in a Muslim country and she's going to get killed preaching Jesus? Just let those people do what they want. They want to reject the Christian God. Just shake the dust off your sandals because they don't want the Christian God. But she worked a miracle. She was at McLean Bible, by the way. This was in, when would this be? This would be around 2001, 2002 time frame. Yeah. And so this is also when I was going through my time of doubt, and I was thinking, Lord, the Christian faith is not true. It's immoral to be sending people to their death to die for something that's false. And so it was weighing on my heart. Anyway, just completing the thought on Heather Mercer, we were praying for her, and it's like, Lord, we need a miracle. Well, George Bush Jr. W. He sent all these forces to invade Afghanistan and destroy the Taliban. They rescued Heather Mercer. Miracle. And it came out, Heather gave her story. She got in prison because she prayed. A Muslim couple came up to her and said, our daughter has a very terrible ailment. And Heather said, "Oh, can I pray?" And the parents said, yes. And she prayed in the name of Jesus. The girl's eyes were healed. She was thrown in jail for that. Sentenced to death by the Muslims.
Yeah, so I did a little checking on the wiki, and there's an article on Heather Mercer, A Higher Calling, Today's Christian Women. And there's something about I think there's something about a prayer for it was something about running into this child who was, horribly suffering from the heat or something. And there was nothing about praying for somebody to be cured and there being a miracle and there being a cure in the article I looked at. So anyway, that was interesting. So, but he took that to be a miracle, and that's kind of the same as the astronaut who in a Reddit post in some sort of interview said that he cured a blind girl by praying for her. And these are the miracles that play really big in Sal's life. So anyway, but we'll listen to a little more.
Because she healed a girl in the name of Jesus. And our church here at McLean Bible was praying for Heather, that God would rescue her. And the Army Rangers came in and rescued her. Praise God. So ironic. Not I'm saying that this is a good thing, but because of 9/11, it caused the nation of the United States to go to war with the Taliban in Afghanistan, rescued Heather Mercer. Had 9/11 not happened, I think she would have been killed. So it was tragic.
Okay, what the fuck? Did he not say what I said he said yesterday? That 4,000 people died in 9/11 in the towers. And because of that, there was a miracle, and George Bush went to war with Afghanistan and saved Heather Mercer?
That's pretty much what he's saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a coincidence and a Lord or a God had nothing to do with it.
Well, maybe the Army saved her. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I think the Rangers say, but he just basically totally glossed over the fact that people lost their lives in that war and in that fucking World Trade Center. And
yeah,
Over
And
a million
so-
people. Over a million people died, so Heather could live. It's,
yeah,
it's God's
yep,
logic.
just gloss
right
right
there.
over that. Yep, don't.
God, I
Yeah.
don't know what the fuck. How do people think like this?
They only care about the people that they have in their thoughts.
I don't know. It's like, maybe Heather Mercer, because she healed a child somewhere, with Jesus, was more valuable than all these other lives that were lost. I mean, there's just something fucking crazy going on here, and I can't.
That makes
Well,
sense.
it's just looking at all the different things happening out there and seeing what you want to see behind the headlines.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this article I looked at, and when I looked at this article on Heather Mercer, she was talking about how she's seen these children, and they were like, I don't know, they were really in distress, and she decided that she needed to stay in Afghanistan and help these children. So that was Heather Mercer. There was nothing about a blind made the headlines. Okay, doesn't have blind girl healed. So what the fuck? So
Well,
how do you?
That wasn't the important thing, obviously. No, people didn't report that because they didn't feel it was important. The main thing was that she wanted to help children.
Yeah. Well, there's this trash clown who has a YouTube channel, and he's got a real gravelly voice. I don't know what the fuck his name is, but we don't want to mention his name. But he was talking yesterday about memes and how memes get started, and about the Star Wars thing with Luke, I am your father, that never happened. And yet everybody believes it did. Okay, but here is a Christian talking about memes. And what I want what we were talking about earlier is, okay, in the first, from basically 0 AD to 300 AD, how did memes work back then? And we got a Christian talking about how memes get distorted, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What do you think was going on in the first 300 years, of that millennium, as far as memes go? And I'm thinking resurrection memes, and how much of the game of telephone. But what I was wondering about is, I don't know a hell of a lot about the history, but the Romans were occupying basically where Israel is now. Mm-hmm. Is that the case? Okay, so
case, yeah.
Yeah. So how did news get from Israel, like news of something happening, back to Rome? I'm guessing at the speed of mule. It traveled at the speed of mule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but how did these, it would be interesting to look at the communication theory of those early civilizations and figure out how things got tossed around, how things spread. And whatever, but anyway, it was so ironic to hear this Christian trash clown talking about memes and saying, "Oh, how memes, how stupid people are that they believe these things really happened after they've heard about them, not secondhand, but after 100th hand." And they change. And so he was talking about that, but yet never applying it to the Bible, to the Gospels when they were written and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Yep.
But that would be an interesting, Myth Vision might be the one to do some work on that. I got to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there was, the Persians invented the Pony Express, by the way, just to let you know that. And the Romans had another similar system of communication.
The Persians invented the Pony Express?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Way back.
So that's where my bank started, Wells Fargo? That's where they got started in Persia?
I think, yeah, possibly. Okay. But they had a network of roads which were built specifically, and then every few miles or whatever it was, they had way stations where they kept horses so they could transfer messages from one end of the empire to the other.
Yeah, so don't you think if there was a miracle, like some Roman soldiers were guarding a tomb and a body disappeared, that would it have ended up in the news in Rome? I mean, if it was like really weird, I mean, if it was really inexplicable, you would think it would.
If they saw some angels, yeah.
You think it would have ended up on Fox News in Italy, you know?
But
how many other religions had stories like that, you know, that would pop up from time to time? It would probably make it into the religion section of the Roman times, if anything.
Yeah.
I don't think they were that against hearing about other people's religions either. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, they were much more cosmopolitan and accepting. It's just that they wanted people to swear some sort of loyalty to the Sol Invictus or the sun god. I don't remember.
Oh, the emperor, yeah, the emperor god, whichever one it was at the time, you know. But they wouldn't try and change the religion of the conquered. They wouldn't try and change the religion of the conquered nations.
Right, and only a monotheistic religion would have a problem doing that. So that's why the Jews had issues with Rome, as well as later on Christians.
Yeah. Although, funnily enough, they don't say a lot about the Greeks. Weirdly, because the Greeks conquered that same area like 300 years earlier.
Yeah, but that's because they ate those grape leaves, right? Those fucking things are gross. Nobody wanted to talk about that shit. So Heather Mercer doesn't seem to talk about this miracle in any of her interviews.
What?
Yeah. So how the fuck did this miracle thing get started? That's what I'm trying to figure out. She talks a lot about really trying to help children in these countries that are, you know, suffering, but I can't find anything on miracles. So now here we have an example of a meme about to get started, right? Can you imagine in 100 years what they're going to be saying about Heather Mercer? Rose from the dead and fucking, you know, just, I don't know. What the fuck, people? What the fuck? Get a grip on reality, for God's sake. I don't know. Yep. This is another story for Sal. So anyway, I think we've done enough Sal for the day. Sal bashing for the day. Sorry, Sal. I really want to be friends again. Yeah, I want to be friends again. I made up with Otangelo, but he hasn't come back yet. When he comes back, I got to get. Well, you hear the rules. I got to give him a wrench. I can't play the Benny Hinn song. I can't make fun of him. Those are the fucking rules, and we're going to abide by them for an unspecified period of time. We will. We're going to be good, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, Otangelo's all right. Otangelo's all right, and we miss our Otangelo.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair. Although he went on and on about the Benny Hill song, and he said he liked it.
I know he said he liked it, but then he became later offended.
But remember, he's now fallen under the tutelage of Darth Dawkins, and now thinks that he gets to rule the roost.
Okay, this is a good example of somebody in chat who needs to be banned. Basically, he says he loves grape leaves. That's fucking heresy, man.
Now, I used to love grape nuts, which was a breakfast cereal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How the fuck do you got to chew on those things for like an hour? I mean, if you want to get...
I pour it with enough milk to go just over the level of the cereal and let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes until it's very soft, and then I eat it. I don't want to have to work that hard for my breakfast.
Are you sure it only took 5 or 10 minutes? Because I seem to remember 5 or 6 hours, and I still wasn't where I wanted to be.
It's somewhere between 5 minutes and 6 hours, just in the ballpark.
The Benny Hill part is a deal breaker. Yeah, I do what I have to do, man. I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to mention one last thing, and let me see if I can find it.
Just to clarify, too, Ox wrote that Jay Passek got Otangelo to admit he can't prove God, which is true. I think I did see that, but Otangelo has said that many times, so that's not the first time he has said that. Just so you know.
Okay, I found that original article about Heather Mercer. I didn't read the whole thing in detail to find out if it was a miracle, but so I'm going to link it in my description if anybody wants to check it out. It was on a different page, and I'm trying to find a preview. So this morning, doing my textbook work, I found a 2008 book on cell biology that had a mention of something called Planctomycetes, which are basically prokaryotes that have nuclear structures in them. And they have nucleus-like structures, so they've got different containers inside the cells, which we don't normally find in prokaryotes. And so there's this, I think, Immutable was supposed to come in today, and he never did. But Immutable has like 4 papers on eukaryotic evolution. So one of the big things that Sal Cordova's hung up on, and a lot of other people, including myself, is how did eukaryotes evolve with that nucleus and the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi apparatus and all of that, all these complex internal cell structures, right? And so I found this Planctomycetes, and I'm going to try to find the paper. Where's the paper? Here's Yaris. I got Yaris. Oh my God. Sometimes Apple is a little retarded in how they do their operating system. I don't know. Just saying. I can find it this way. So and Andrew was supposed to come in so we could talk about science, but he never did. He isn't here, is he?
Andrew, yeah, he wanted to come in, but we waited and waited for quite a while to do. Yeah.
He said something about not knowing anything about fungi, whatever they're called.
You're
not talking about a fungus, are you?
Nope. It's a bacteria, host-associated bacteria. Planctomycetes as a host-associated bacteria. And here we have, let me see if I can find the other paper, the original paper. Here we go. Got it. So let me see if I can show it. And I will try to link the paper if I still have the, hold on a second. And it's where I got the picture for today's video. And I don't know if any of you guys really give a shit about science. I get so few views on our science videos. It is really depressing. But
I hate that.
Ox has a cautionary tale for us.
Cautionary tale, yes. People just don't want to look at the science. Okay.
No.
Oh.
Ox has a cautionary tale for us.
Oh, well, does an ox have a wrench? Well, Christ. Ox. We'll fix that. Ox should have a wrench, right?
And then he won't be able to get blocked, right?
Yeah, you can't ban other moderators, can you? I don't think so.
No, you can't. No.
Anyway, so they have like this nucleoid structure. There's structures inside of this prokaryote, and that isn't to say that we evolved from this thing, right? Because there's 3.5 billion years of evolution here, but it shows you that these things can develop in prokaryotes, at these different cellular structures. So this is something I want to look further into, and this is the picture I had today, which shows you the ribosomes, and they're all inside of this parallelosome, which you have to say very slowly or you'll fuck it up. And then they have a paraphoplasm, cytoplasmic membrane, and there are some other things about it and its cell wall that makes it a very different kind of bacteria. And the name of the article is thus. Come on. Beyond the bacterium, Planctomycetes challenge our concepts of microbial structure and function, which is good. But we'll be looking further into this guy. I'll try to find the link for this, okay? And, boy, that made you all silent as fuck.
Well, we're just making sure you were finished.
Oh, okay. Well, that's polite of you.
I didn't want to.
I'm not used to that. I'm not used to not being interrupted.
So it's not a bacteria, or it's a kind of bacteria, but it's got more goodies than other bacteria.
It is a branch of bacteria. It's kind of an odd one. It's there's like, for instance, Well, let's take a look at it here. I think it's kind of it occupies its own little branch in a lot of different trees, as you can see here. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? So it kind of, and I have to look a little. They've done a lot of phylogenetic trees with it. There's a Wikipedia article on it, and it's just something that I'm just looking into, and it may bleed into our talk about how the nucleus evolved and how these structures evolved. Fairly interesting. But this is the family tree for bacteria and archaea. And then we have Planctomycetes all by themselves. I don't know why they seem to be a pretty distant branch, according to this. So anyway, so I decided to make that the show icon, just to attract a nerd who will have been very disappointed.
There's Andrew's back now. I wonder, are you coming in, Andrew, to discuss any of this or anything else?
Yeah, it's something that we'll get into with Andrew and with Immutable at a later date here, because we're going to start to do a series on these papers that Immutable found. There's 4 papers on basically this kind of evolution and how these things happen. And the way what you look for is you look in prokaryotes for homologous, paralogous genes that have the properties that we see in these cell structures, right? And they found a ton of them. So there's a lot. So it's like a big mystery that we're trying to unwind, and we're looking for the footprints going all the way back. Unfortunately, prokaryotes have also been evolving for 4 billion years. So they're going to be different today, but what you're looking for is some family resemblance going way back, and you say, so this guy has a funny nose, and this new guy has a funny nose, and we know that they couldn't possibly be related except 4 billion years ago. So that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for proteins with a funny nose. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there? This may be a little bit off topic, but are there any like medical doctors in this community that you know of, or like just like regular MDs or?
Not in the community. There's a lot of quack doctors that you see popping up in creationism and stuff, like that Stuart Jackmeoff or Hammer Skull or Hammer Hemp. And Roger Penrose. Yeah, there's a lot of quack doctors, but
yeah. Well,
we have any doctors. Why?
The reason why I brought that up is the funny thing kind of happened to me just the other day. I went to a cookout. And I ran into a friend of mine who I see every now and then. We're old high school buddies, and we just see each other every now and then. And we were chatting at a cookout, and he started talking about a scientific paper. And he wrote that, now this guy, I'm not even sure. He's taken college courses. I'm not sure what his degrees are. Like, if he has, like I said, I know he went to college, but I don't know what his degrees are. It's probably just in business and things like that, because he's like he's been a consultant for most of his life, doing like governmental projects, consulting and stuff like that. But anyway, he had an issue with migraines, migraine headaches.
Yeah.
So he did a major research into it, right? And he researched it for a long period of time. He spent like 10 years researching it and trying to figure out, because he suffered from it. And during that time, he actually wrote a scientific paper, and it was quite long. To give you an idea on how long the original paper was, it had 500 references in it. So it was basically like a book,
Really?
Yeah. He didn't tell me how many pages that was,
Did you get a link to it?
I haven't yet. I'm gonna get a hold of him, and I said, well, and all right. So hold on one second. Just had to clear my throat. So anyway, so he wrote this long paper, right? And he was in cahoots with an MD, and a guy was very interested in the paper, right? But they couldn't really get anybody in the field. He only had a few people that were siding with him, and then because he didn't have a medical degree, nobody wanted anything to do with him, right? Except for this one guy. And then the guy, this MD that he was involved with, said, look, you got to shorten it up. Nobody wants to read your book. You got to shorten it.
Yeah.
So supposedly he has shortened it down to, I believe, like 35 pages, something like that, with like 100 and something references in it or something like that. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting. I said, oh, that's kind of funny because the group, I talked about this group. I said, we come here and these guys read scientific papers and all that. I said, oh, I'll ask around. I don't know if anybody is, but it's all about migraines and how.
Now you've got my attention.
So why do you suffer from it? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never know when I'm going to get them. I've tried to predict it, but just never seems to happen like that.
Hey,
I'll get migraines and
so
be out.
Scott, do you get scintillating scotomas?
I have no idea what that is. It sounds almost overrated.
That's what this paper is about. That.
Scintillating scotomas. Yeah, they're very. I've gotten them, and I used to get them like every 6 months. First one I had was in 1998 when I happened to be using drugs, and I thought I was having a stroke because all of a sudden I'm blind, and I've gotten them up until about 3 years ago. I was getting them, and then at the end of them, the scintillating scotoma would eventually go out of my field of vision, and that's when the headache would set in. But I never got what I would describe as a really painful migraine. I would just get this kind of sick headache. And I'm going to show. I'm going to share a screen. The Wikipedia, I think, has an article on it.
Now, by scintillating scotoma, do you mean like a rainbow or something in your vision that?
Yeah, these things. That.
Oh yeah, I get those. Oh yeah. Definitely.
They're finding some of the symptoms of migraine are actually similar to symptoms of stroke, and there might be some similarity there. I noticed when I had my really bad migraine, like there were certain words that I couldn't remember. It was weird.
Same here. Now this was years ago when I first started getting them. I'm on so much blood pressure medicine now that when I do get them, I don't get the speech impediment part where you have a word you want to say, but you can't say it.
Right.
What's interesting is they found out that there's this wave that goes across your occipital lobe at the back of your brain. If you put your palm on the back of your head, that's where your primary visual cortex is. And they found these waves that just kind of migrate across the cortex, and then the person will give. They can actually track them, and then the person will get a migraine at the end of it.
Wow!
And it's really odd that it affects your visual cortex like this. But this is what I've been driving, and all of a sudden I have to pull over because I am totally blind, completely blind. I mean, it's absolutely amazing how powerful this effect is. Sometimes I'm trying to think.
I know, and then of course, to make things worse, I'll get numb feelings in my my hand, and so when I first went to the doctor, I said, "Doc, I think I've been having little strokes or whatever," and he finally realized it was just not just but it was a migraine more than anything.
Yep.
But
so,
Andrew, seeing those little drawings, I can totally identify.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a wonderful name, scintillating scotoma. And the first time you have one, you swear you're going to be dead in 5 minutes. You think you're having a stroke. It's just like, holy shit.
Or if you're driving and you don't, and you've never had a migraine before,
you can't see.
You end up about 20 miles north of where you're supposed to go to work, and then you end up being an hour late.
Yeah.
Because I was dumb enough to go to work.
So we brought Andrew in here to Science Rant.
Yeah, I had a question.
Which one?
Well, about eukaryotes and endosymbiosis and everything. I have an idea for an experiment that they could do.
What's that?
What if we could take mitochondria and over time try to get them to adapt to living outside of a cell?
Right.
Could we do that?
They would need a hell of a lot of. You'd have to add a tremendous amount to their genome because so much was subtracted from the genome of the mitochondria after they were supposedly ingested, or after they got together. It lost like 90% of the genes it needed to function. They were moved out. And this Planctomycetes article and some of the articles of Mutable linked explain how some of that happens, how the genes manage to transfer. Like a lot of the genes for that the mitochondria needs to function are made in our nucleus, and they get exported from the nucleus and they enter the mitochondria. So that would be
I didn't know that.
They made, so it's only got it's got a genome that's only, I think, 16,000 bases, and we have 3.2 billion in our nucleus. So it's only got a few genes for part of the metabolic cycle, and it's got some tRNAs. I believe it does that by itself, but or maybe not. I'd have to. I'm going to say something wrong if I keep talking. So, but anyway, it's really reduced. It's really lost a lot of its identity. So, but an interesting idea, and probably something we could try to see if anybody's actually doing that. If trying to find it.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking if we could do that, that may be the closest to a proto cell that we could look at.
Yeah, it would be, because it would have to have just enough to survive all by itself, sort of thing. But there's some question as to whether those organisms could ever survive by themselves if they had a long history of evolution as parasites, and then we ended up just it's like, fine, if you're going to live here, you're gonna vacuum the fucking floor. It's like like after tens of millions of years with a parasite, you're like, fine, we're gonna give you chores. So,
well, I mean, were they parasites, or did we eat them and then they became parasites? So I mean,
there are three. Like, one of the papers that Immutable linked is called The Third Space, and it has another hypothesis that's a little different from them being ingested or eaten. Like, they were either like they call it phagocytosis. Am I pronouncing that right? And
I think so. Either.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a soft G. Yeah, I think phagocytosis. I've heard phage or phage. I think phage is more common.
I like phagocytosis better. But anyway, they basically, they're like invaginations where something can, like simple cells can engulf another cell. So that's what one hypothesis. Another one is, I think that was a parasite, and it attacked, basically, that it managed to penetrate the cells and live inside of cells. And then, which that one I kind of like. And then there's now this Third Space one, but I haven't read the paper yet, so I can't speak to that one. But it's a different idea or different hypothesis. So they're working it out. I mean, we're looking at something that happened it was a rare occurrence, probably happened only a few million times, which is pretty goddamn rare when it comes to biology. Some people think it only happened once. I happen to think it happened a few million times. Anyway, this Planctomycetes that I displayed today has some of those features, some interesting things about intracellular structures in bacteria, which normally do not have a whole lot of organization inside of the cell, that sort of thing. So, but that is just such a cold case. A cold case from 3 billion years ago. So it's kind of tough.
Right.
or maybe 1 billion. We don't know. So some estimates are it happened 700 million or 800 million years ago, and estimates are all over the place. We just don't fucking know.
Right.
Anyway, okay, ready for Andrew to say a word? You got a word for us?
Sure. So y'all were talking about cosmology earlier, I heard.
Oh no.
What?
It's going to devolve into a physics discussion. But go ahead.
Oh, would you like me to talk about something else?
No. Don't let me influence you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I was actually talking with Icarus about this in the chat. Like, you were the Sal video. He was mentioning galaxies and how they formed. So, like, do they ever like do creationists have a good model for how quasars fit in? Like, does anyone know about that?
Creationist models are about like flat Earth models. They use a very loose definition of the word model.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm assuming you all know what a quasar is, right?
Yes.
It was a great brand of TV back in the day. But yes, a quasar is like is it a neutron star that spins or something like that?
No, that's a pulsar.
Well,
Isn't that
I've heard
like
of quasars.
two shots of tequila and 3 shots of something else? Okay.
No, it's not that either.
Keep going,
Okay.
Andrew. Keep going.
Okay. Well, a quasar is basically a type of active galaxy. Specifically, let's see. So there are different kinds of active galaxies. There's one, and it actually, it's interesting that how bright they are, from quasars to blazars to other things, actually depends on how the angle at which we're looking at them, and the angle that they're facing us. So, like, when it's straight on, it's really bright, and so we call it a blazar. When it's on its side, it's dimmer, and we call it a radio or Seyfert galaxy, I believe. And quasars are somewhere in between that spectrum. But basically, go ahead.
They're emanating this intense radio source, right? Like from straight on. If we're looking at them straight on or something.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Go on.
And basically, the interesting thing about them is there are a few in the relatively nearby universe, nearby being like a couple billion light years from us, but basically most of the quasars, the really active galaxies, are found at large distances, in other words, large redshifts from us, and that fits perfectly with the Big Bang model, because we would say the universe was more compact and denser, so there was a lot more material between galaxies for them to grow on, basically. But that's not so common now, because galaxy collisions are becoming rarer and rarer as the universe expands. So I feel like a good question to ask these creationists about their model, quote unquote, would be how do quasars and other active galaxies fit into the picture?
Yep. Oh, there are so many questions we had for them.
Yeah.
Well, you heard Sal. He was invoking miracles, right? I mean, that was a part of his model, right?
Yeah, it was just a big God the gaps argument.
Yeah, what he was saying is that because of the expansion of the universe, that the gravity could have never formed the that superstructure of galaxies that we see, which looks like they've compared it to the neurons in your brain. Basically, it forms this network,
right?
This network of threads.
Yeah, the cosmic web. Yeah, and what he's saying would be true if the only matter in the universe was baryonic matter, but of course we have dark matter, and there's a lot more of it. So, and like you said, we've done these simulations with and without dark matter, and the only way to get the structure of the universe that we see today is if you add dark matter of some kind. So.
Oh, so you hadn't heard that dark matter is completely disproven?
Yeah, he said that too.
Oh, I hadn't heard that until like 15 minutes ago. It's a complete revelation for me.
Well, there's some pushback.
Oh, sorry.
There are some new theories about what dark matter is or what would account for it, and one of them that Sabina Hoffenstetter or whatever.
I think it's Hoffenstetter, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think she actually believes in some sort of a variable gravity or something, variation in gravity, which is kind of interesting. So, the cosmologists are fighting it out, with their theories.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. A good piece of evidence that dark matter exists is the fact that we found galaxies without much dark matter. Because
recently,
and it keeps growing, and what that does is it demonstrates that whatever is causing this mass, or this appearance of mass, isn't. It doesn't appear to be some kind of modified gravity, because otherwise you'd expect that not to vary between galaxies, like turning on and off like a light switch. But other than that, I can't say much beyond that because I haven't read too much into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Silence.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is the great Smoky Saint was even talking about this just the other day. Dark matter.
Oh,
and how it's about a bunch of bullshit, and they just add that to make up.
Okay. Did he mention the term fudge factor or epicycle at all?
Hey, he probably did. Yep. He him. He doesn't know shit about science, but it's funny how he was talking about it.
I heard something about him being a trash clown with a smoky voice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep.
I mean just to quickly say, the problem with the claim that dark matter is like a fudge factor that keeps the model working is that we have independent lines of evidence, not just from cosmology, but from astrophysics, namely galaxy rotation curves, and it shows that some kind of influence, whether it be undetected particles or new kind of gravity or something like that, just dark matter overall is necessary. Otherwise, the universe wouldn't look the way it does.
Yep.
So there's a force or a substance out there that we just don't know really anything about it, but if it's not in a particular galaxy, then our Newtonian physics can account for the speed and the rotation of a galaxy. But
it would show that modified Newtonian dynamics, or MOND, which is the alternative to the standard dark matter particle picture, is or maybe there's something that needs to be added onto it, or it's wrong in some way, because gravity, even if it's different than Einstein thought, it shouldn't differ between galaxies.
Right.
I just wanted to put up a picture of a demon on the screen.
Yeah.
Speed.
What?
It's funny you mention him, actually, because I think me and Emery are gonna have a chat this weekend. Hopefully.
Oh my God! You're gonna chat with the demon.
Oh, I didn't know you thought so lowly of him.
Oh my God.
Where are you doing this?
Probably on his channel. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, speak of the demon. Oh, thank you, Andrew. That's going to be so fun to listen to. That's coming up this weekend. I was going to watch. I was going to watch this new series on Netflix, but now I got something else to do. This is going to be fucking fun.
So whose
Yeah,
channel is it going to be on?
You should veer into the discussion of wokeism and abortion and Baptist leaders and a few other things too, if you get a chance.
I would, except for one small detail. I don't know nothing about those stuff.
You don't know, you don't know about wokeism? Apparently, we're all suffering from wokeism because, yeah.
Also, bring up goats and sheep. Make sure you
Goats
mention
and sheep,
goats
right?
and sheep.
Yeah.
And ask me to tell you all about that.
If you're gonna use an example in evolution, definitely fucking use goats and sheep. Okay.
Yes.
I just want to see what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can actually get into some stuff about phylogenetics and stuff. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I don't think he understands the first thing about it, but it's going to be fun to listen.
Yeah, use goats and sheep as examples on how evolution works or something.
Yeah.
And see
Now,
what happens.
which channel did you say, Andrew?
Probably
His
on
channel, probably.
Yeah, it's this channel here in his image.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's right here.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact time, but he said he might have some time this weekend. So, we'll hopefully we can set something up.
Yep. Yeah, he's a really nice
Cross
guy.
your fingers.
He's not very opinionated.
Yeah, I'm mainly trying to have a discussion with him because unlike LPP or Nephilim Free, he's not going to shut me up. So we can actually have a reasonable conversation, even if we disagree on some things.
I think you will. It'll be interesting. Just stay within biology, and you'll be fine. And you won't want to shower afterwards. But if you stray outside of biology, you're going to want to take a shower.
They really shouldn't be against wokeism, because I was just noticing how many times in the Bible it tells the reader to wake up.
Oh,
who just came in? I can't see.
What's that?
Who just came in? I can't see with the comment on the
screen. We'll get rid of the comment.
In the midnight.
It's lady.
I thought it was going to be LPP or someone.
How dare you think I'm LPP? What the hell, man?
I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you hang out with the same people. I don't know. Maybe we will make that mistake. I'm just saying.
Okay, drop it, Speed. Okay.
Okay. I'm dropping it.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ! I'm just such a fucking asshole.
I mean, you are.
Okay. I can't help it.
Yep. We're not quite sure who the nutty atheist is, right? We think that possibly could be LPP.
I'm pretty sure it's LPP or someone who's watched LPP, because he brought up the variable speed of light, and I know that LPP is kind of the only creationist who mentions that.
Yeah,
we unbanned Danny.
Yeah.
Well, why the nutty atheist? Okay.
Hey, I'm actually still banned.
It's just a sock account.
Only 53 of your sock accounts are banned.
I have like 100 more. Too bad for you.
Danny, I would like to talk to you off air when everyone leaves, if you don't mind.
I'll stick around.
I wanted to.
I get very offended over that, Midnight. You always got secretive stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
you're so secretive.
You're so secretive.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but it's Illuminati kind of shit that they talk about.
Yeah.
After we end the stream, he gets into all the Illuminati stuff.
Yeah, Freemason stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I think those Masons should be free. My gosh. Free the Masons.
I know what I'm going to do after the stream ends.
By the way, David, are you actually offended?
No.
I was going to say.
I'm just playing with you.
I know. I was just wanting to make sure. Because it's like, Okay,
No,
yeah, it's
no,
a joke,
no.
but I'm like, do
No.
Let not your heart be troubled, Midnight.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
For
Just
we
playing
here
with it.
at Answers in Atheism are the forgiving type. That is why Danny is back on the stream.
Yeah,
That
I kind of
is
want.
why-
I kind of have a bone to pick with you here, Danny.
Well,
Oh,
I forgive
great.
y'all, so that's okay.
Well,
I'll
thank you.
forgive
Thank you
each
very much.
other.
Okay, now here are all your banned sock accounts, Danny.
Oh.
This is mostly you. I mean, why you got to make me do this shit, man? Why you got to make me do all this work?
You didn't. I didn't make you ban them. You chose to do that.
oh, sure.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah, but
accusing him of gaslighting you, Danny?
Danny, you were like a booger. I couldn't fucking shake you off, and I kept having to like ban. It's like
How do you
we
feel
got
about
to.
being compared to a booger, Danny?
What?
How do you feel about being compared to a booger?
I feel nothing.
I feel nothing.
Are you
I'm
mad?
sorry, Danny. I didn't hear what you just said. Did you say you have a bone to pick with all of us? Did I?
No. I said I forgive everyone.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said a minute ago.
Well, boys and girls.
Oh, there it
Oh, we
goes.
know what's coming.
Yeah.
I almost feel like we need to play Happy Trails.
No, I gotta figure out how the fuck to stop this shit. Damn it, stop it.
You've lost control.
You love the gunshots the best. I
Hi,
know,
Marshall.
right?
I love this other part right here. So this part I've got to clip this together. Okay, let me shit. Okay, I'm going. That's after you shoot him. Anyway, we're gonna end the stream for the day.
Okay.
Stay curious.
Yep. Goodbye, crew world. We love you. Having a great time with the world, to tell you the truth.